well, Jane.
Thank you. See ya.
Okay.
Okay, shall we get into it? Let's start. We can offer respect to the spiritual master as we do. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmalatam Yaina Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarah, would you like to read the English for that?
Oh, yes.
Sarah?
I was born in the dark. I was born in the darkness, darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
So we're continuing reading the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled Dhyana Yoga. So dhyana means meditation. Kulshan has joined us.
Hey Krishna, sorry I'm late.
That's okay. That's okay. So dhyana means meditation, and yoga means linking with the Supreme. So linking with the Supreme through this process of meditation. And before being able to do the meditation in this process, there would be a lot of rules and regulations to follow, do's and don'ts, basically. 2 kinds of rules, right? Some rules are do's, things that you should do, and some rules are don'ts. We also have that too. What's our do's and don'ts? We have 1 main do and 4 main don'ts. I gave you a big clue there.
The 4 we don't, that which is like, 4 regulatory
No
principles.
meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex,
No gambling.
no gambling.
Yeah. So in the Ashtanga yoga system, this jnana yoga system, that would be the which one is the do's and which is the don'ts? The yama is the do's or the niyama is the do's? I can't remember. But one is the do's and one's the don'ts. So you have the 8 processes. So the first 2 are the yama and niyama. So one of them is do's and don'ts. And
niyama is do.
Niyama is do. Okay. They're the do's. Yama is the do's. Yama is the don'ts. So, and our main, what's our do? What are we supposed to do? Chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha.
Chant and be happy.
That's our do. That's our do. So you have rules like that. And then in their system, they would have the exercises, the asanas, and then breathing, the pranayama like that. And by doing all these things, slowly get purified to the point where you can focus your mind. So that's the meditation, right? You've got to concentrate your mind, focus your mind. And the original Ashtanga yoga system, what are you concentrating your mind on? What's the object of your concentration?
Krishna.
In what form? In what feature? There's 3 features of God. What are the 3 features of God? 3 different aspects of God.
Ishvara, Bhagwan,
And Vishnu.
the 3rd one.
I'm not talking about different forms of God.
Oh,
Do you mean like all attractive, the power, the wealth, the strength, and the
opulences of Bhagavan? Yeah, Bhagavan is the ultimate aspect.
Yeah.
Ultimate aspect, and Bhagavan has those 6 different opulences. That's very good.
But
there's 2 other aspects. So Bhagavan is one aspect. What's another aspect? Then there's Paramatma, right? The super soul in the heart of every living entity. Yeah. So that's what these yogis in the Ashtanga yoga system or Dhyana yoga system, they're meditating on the super soul, Paramatma. And then there's the Brahman. Remember the Brahman, the all-pervading energy. So that's another aspect. So when you're talking about God, you're actually talking about 3 different things. You're talking about the energy of God, all-pervading energy, Brahman. You're talking about God's localized form that's present in the material world and the heart of every living entity, and even in the atom. And then you're talking about the Supreme Being who's present in the spiritual world in Vaikuntha and who sometimes appears in the material world, and that's known as an incarnation or avatar. So sometimes he comes to try to help out us poor suffering souls, which Krishna did that 5,000 years ago. So those are the three different aspects. So in this Astanga Yoga system, mainly they're meditating on this Paramatma aspect of the Lord. That's the focus of their meditation. Whereas ours is mainly we focus on the Bhagavan aspect, like that. And the impersonalists, which is not talking about in this chapter, but the Mayavadis are impersonalists. Mainly they focus on the Brahman aspect. So there's three different kinds of main kinds of transcendentalists. Those that focus on the Brahman, and those that focus on Paramatma, and those that focus on Bhagavan, like that. And they're all transcendentalists. They all have a spiritual goal, like that. So that's Jnana Yoga. So they're trying to connect them.
Abhay, sorry, just go back. You said the Brahman, the Bhagavan, and what was the other one?
Paramatma.
Paramatma, or what you say in English, the super soul.
Yeah.
Super soul. Atma means soul, so we're all Atmas. But there's one supreme soul. And Param means the supreme or the topmost. So we're all persons, and God is the supreme person. He's the most powerful person, most famous person, as you were saying, those six opulences, most strongest person, most intelligent, knowledgeable person, like that. So he's a supreme person. So Paramatma, the supreme soul, the super soul. So now we're reading text number 3, covered in the session number 1 and 2. So we're on number 3. We can recite that one. Arurukshor munir yogam.
Arurukshor muni yogam.
Karma karanam uchate.
Karma karanam uchate.
Yoga rudhasya tasyaiva.
Yoga rudha tasyaiva.
Sama karanam uchate.
Shama karanam uchate.
We'll do it once more. Arurukshor munir yogam.
Aruruksho muni yogam.
Karma karanam uchate.
Karma karanam uchate.
Yoga rudhasya tasyaiva.
Yoga rudasya tasyaiva.
Sama karanam uchate.
Sama karanam uchate.
Would anyone like to have a go at leading?
Right.
Quite an easy one, not too hard, this one. You can do it. Someone have a go at leading? Okay, go for it.
Aruksho muno yogam.
Aruruksho yogam.
Kama karanam uchate.
Karma karanam uchate.
Yoga rudhasya tasvaya.
Yoga rudhasya tasvaya.
Sama karanam uchate.
Sama karanam uchate.
Very good.
I can tell, Sarah, you've been practicing at the farm. I can tell. That's good. Because they do it every morning in the farm, right? So if you keep living in a temple environment, you get lots of practice at reciting verses. That's good. Okay, Bob, would you like to read the English, please?
For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
Okay, So that might not mean very much, but we'll try to explain it and make it understandable. So neophyte, I mean, we use this term also in Krishna consciousness. You know what neophyte means? What does that mean?
It's a new devotee.
Yeah, a new devotee. So someone new, just starting out on the spiritual path. Must be a very old English word, I think. Neophyte. Very beginner, just a beginner. So like primary school. This is like a primary school student just starting out. So in the beginning of this Ashtanga yoga system, the main focus for the student will be to do some activities, to do some particular activities. And it's saying here, for one who's very advanced student, then the focus would go more to detachment and renouncing, giving up activities. So a bit of a switch there between the beginning and the end. So we'll hear what Prabhupada has to say about that. Okay, Gulshan, would you like to start reading the first?
Yeah. The process of linking oneself with the Supreme is called yoga. It may be compared to a ladder for attaining the topmost spiritual realization. The ladder begins from the lowest material condition of the living entity and rises up to the perfect self-realization in a pure spiritual life. According to various elevations, different parts of the ladder are known by different names. But all in all, the complete ladder is called yoga and may be divided into three parts, namely dhyana yoga, dhyana yoga, bhakti yoga. The beginning of the ladder is called yoga arukshu stage, and the highest rung is called yoga arudha.
Okay, so we'll just stop there for a minute. So this is an interesting analogy to compare the yoga system to a ladder. Do you understand that?
Yep.
So we try not to see, these different yoga processes as completely separate, but rather that they're different steps to the topmost realization. A ladder might have, for example, 10 rungs in it. So that, the first step on the ladder, the second step, third step, fourth step, and the ultimate might be, the 10th step or whatever, and it's the top of the ladder. So here, I mean, you could say, going by what Prabhupada's saying here, you could say this is like a 3-rung ladder. This ladder has 3 rungs in it. It has the Jnana Yoga,
Dhyana yoga, bhakti yoga.
Jnana Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. So you could say there's 3 rungs. So, and they're all developments on the path of self-realization. So try not to see it as all separate, but rather as further developments. Just like it's one educational system, right? But within one educational system, you have the beginning students who are like primary school, and then the intermediate students like secondary school, and then the graduate students like that tertiary stage, and and you can go up postgraduate, all this kind of thing, doctorate. So highly advanced students. So it's all on the same pathway, but just further degrees of going down the path, different amounts of progress. And ultimately, there is one God. There's not many gods. Even like people get confused with the religion, right? They think, the Christian religion, that's one God, and the Hindu religion, that's another God, and the Muslim religion, that's another God. But it's actually one God, but just different steps on the way to understanding God. So So the question is, why have so many religions if there's one God? And that's because that us human beings are at so many different levels of realization. So we shouldn't think, oh, it's many religions because it's many gods. No, it's one God, but because we're all at different stages in our path of self-realization and different degrees of surrender. Therefore, you have different religions to cater for the different people. Like, for example, some religions that it'll be acceptable to eat meat, and in other religions it's not. You know, so someone's still attached to eating meat. So there'll be a particular religion that will help that person that's at that stage, and another person he's more elevated, and he can and give up the meat eating, and like that. So there'll be different religions like that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Well, the same with yoga also. That these are different processes recommended to help us achieve the same goal, to love God. Hey, Bhakti Mala has joined. Hare Krishna, welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bhakti.malak.com.
So this Jnana Yoga is this is the process that the impersonalist Mayavadis follow. They're attached to an impersonal understanding of God. So their thinking is that God is not a person, that he's just an all-pervading energy. So that system is set up for them. That Jnana Yoga system is set up for them. And this is the first step in self-realization, that Brahman realization. That's the first step. So that's the first rung on the ladder. And then in Dhyana Yoga, this chapter is Jnana Yoga. So that one is the second rung. So their focus is on the Paramatma. And the third rung, the top rung of the yoga ladder, is Bhakti Yoga. And our focus, like I said, is on the Bhagavan realization. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
The Jnana Yogas, their object of their meditation is the impersonal Brahman, the all-pervading energy, and the Dhyana Yoga, these Astanga yogis. Their object is ultimately the Paramatma in the heart. They're meditating on the super soul in the heart, Paramatma, and the Bhakti yogis. Their object is their loving relationship with Krishna, and their process is serving Krishna in different ways, devotional service.
So the Bhakti Yoga has got a form, the other two doesn't have a form. Is it?
No. Jnana Yoga, the Stanga Yoga, that has a form. Paramatma has a form in the heart.
Okay. But
Paramatma has 4 arms, has 2 legs, 4 arms, 1 head, like us, 2 eyes. The only difference really is they're having the extra 2 arms, but it has a form in bluish color. So looking similar to Krishna.
Are they Mayavadi? No.
No, they're not Mayavadis. No, Mayavadis, that's the Jnana Yoga. They're the impersonalists. But in this Dhyana Yoga system or Astanga Yoga, they are personalists.
Okay.
So there's two broad divisions of the transcendentalists or spiritualists. Those that we say personalists and impersonalists. The impersonalists, they are understanding God has no form. He's just energy. And the personalists' understanding is that God has a form.
The impersonalists are the Mayavadi.
But not a material form, but God's form is spiritual form. He has a transcendental or a spiritual body, not a material body like that. That is a difference in understanding there. And we can accommodate both. Our understanding is that God does have an impersonal feature. We agree, that's Brahman. But he also has a personal feature. That's Bhagavan and Paramatma. So both features are within God, impersonal and personal. Both are there simultaneously. And remember, we've talked about the analogy, of course, is the sun, and the sun has personal aspect, right? Correct? Everyone would agree the sun has a form, right?
Yeah.
Sky, the sun has a form, and it also has an impersonal aspect, energy, right? The sunlight has no form, right? You can't see the sunlight. You can feel it, the heat, right? And you can, I mean, the light is there, but you can't see any form. There's no form. So that is also an aspect of the sun, that formless sunlight. And also the sun planet is a form. And more than that, we know in the Vedic culture that there's actually a sun god, a person with a head and arms and legs. There's a person, his name is Surya Narayan or Vivishwan. He has different names. And Suryadeva. And is a person that is the chief controller of the sun. He also has a form. So the sun god has a form, the sun planet has a form, but the sunlight has no form. So in the same way, the supreme person has a form, the Paramatma, the super soul, has a form, but the Brahman, the all-pervading energy, has no form. So these are three different aspects of the same one subject. So one subject of the sun has three different aspects. So the one subject of God has three different aspects. So altogether, that if you understand all three, you have a complete understanding of the sun. You understand? And if you understand three different aspects of God, you have a complete understanding of God. If you just understand the sunlight, yeah, that is the sun, but it's not complete, right? And if you understand the sun planet, that's more complete. And if you understand the sun god as well, that's most complete. If you understand the all-pervading energy of God, that's a beginning, that's complete. And then Paramatma, that's more complete. And then the Supreme Person, that's most complete. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complete, more complete, and most complete. So even you understanding the energy of God, that's good. That's good. That's God. You have some understanding of God, but it's not complete. So we have to go further. So just like on the ladder, okay, you're on the first step. That's great, mate. You're on the first step of the ladder. Fantastic. But then there is another step. You have to go further forward. Of course, if you only remain on the first step, but you're not going to achieve your goal. Your goal is to reach the top of the ladder, right? So you have to go further. So that's what we want to do. So also with religions, the same process, same principle. Don't just get stuck up with one particular religious system. You know, that's helping you at your stage you're at now, very good. But then go further. So, you can progress. Okay, someone's a Buddhist, very good, but practice your Buddhism, process to perfectly. And then, you can go up to the next step in the next higher religion. Someone's a Muslim, okay, very good, practice that properly. And then when you perfected that, then you go higher. Christian, okay, very good, then go more, more detailed understanding. Like in Christianity, they say, God is the creator and God is the controller. Very good, that's a good understanding. But then, who is God? What does he look like? What are his names? What is his form? What does he look like? Where does he live? Who are his associates? So you can go in more detail. I mean, like Christianity, you get a basic understanding of God, and Muslim also basic, but you can go further, more detail. Don't just stop there and think that that's the end. That's not the end. That's just the beginning. This is just for a system for the neophytes. But as Prabhupada explained, in this Bhakti Yoga system, we have such detailed knowledge, incredible detail, what God looks like, where he lives, even like his daily routine, what God does in the morning, what God does in the middle of the day, what God does in the afternoon and the evening and the nighttime, exactly looks like. To the top of his head what he looks like. Isn't that far out? Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
We know what God looks like right from the tip of his toe to the top of his head, and what he does 24 hours a day, and what he eats, what his favorite foods he likes to eat, how he dresses, what clothes he wears, what are the color of the clothes he wears. You tell me what other religion has that kind of information. Anyone know? Is anywhere else you can find that kind of knowledge? So this is like postgraduate. This is the postgraduate study of understanding the subject of God. So we don't criticize anyone for whatever religion they're following, but we encourage them to go further. Please continue. Fantastic, you're on the ladder, but please go further. You know, follow the rules according to the step you're on, and then but keep trying to progress more and more. Even in the Bhakti Yoga system, don't think I'm chanting Hare Krishna and I'm going to the temple and I love Krishna and everything, and that's finished. No, that's just the start. You have to develop the love more and more. And that's the purpose of yoga, or call it religion, or same principle. Yoga means to connect with God, and religion also means to connect with God. Religion actually means to follow the rules of God, the laws of God. That's the basic meaning of religion. A religious person, how would you explain what does it mean to be a religious person? I just said.
Well, following, like you said, just following the particular rules of the religion that they're currently practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There might be particular sort of rituals or, like, like in Christianity, they have like the 10 Commandments and.
So these are the laws of God, and that's what it means to be a religious person. You follow the laws of God. And if you're not a religious person, then that means you're not following the laws of God, the rules of God. So, but whether you talk about yoga or religion, it's the same principle. Yoga means you're trying to connect with God. And of course, you're connecting with God, you have to follow the rules. Like this Sangha Yoga system, yama niyama, so many rules. So, but you're trying to connect with God, and religion also means to connect with God. And to do that, you have to follow his laws. You have to do what he wants you to do, and you have to avoid or give up the things that he doesn't want you to do. It's universal. It doesn't matter what the kind of yoga or religion is.
So what the yoga we do on the Bhakti tree, they do normally asanas. Are they connecting as well or not?
Well, that's part of the yoga system, but and unless you have the complete picture, you're not really going to make much progress. And like I said, don't get stuck up at one point. So they've got stuck up just at the exercises, and if they don't go further than that, then it becomes like a waste of time.
Yeah, just bodily.
If you don't get to the top of the ladder, then what are you going to do? You're gonna sit on that first step. No, you got to go further. So it becomes a waste of time. Only if you don't progress. Of course, if you're following one yoga system or religious system, and then you move up to the next, then that time you spent on that first step was useful, because from there you've gone to the second step. Like I know that some Hare Krishnas before were Buddhists. Some before they were Hare Krishna, other ones were Christians, other ones were Muslims, or whatever they were. I mean, And in that sense, you know, whatever they were doing before, there must have been something good there, something useful there. It helped them to go up to the next step. So that was very good. But of course, if you just become stuck on one particular level or ladder, rung on the ladder, then yeah, we could say that that could be like a waste of time if they're not progressing to the next one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm.
And God is unlimited. Nobody should ever think, I know everything about God, it's all finished. No, like if someone says, oh, I read Bhagavad Gita once, that's it, I know Bhagavad Gita now, then they haven't really understood Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is unlimited. The more you read Bhagavad Gita, the more you'll get out of it, the more you'll advance. You could read it 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000.
How long the time or duration that Krishna spoke out Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? Is that 1 day or is it 1 hour or
No,
the duration?
time. Some people say slightly different periods of time, so it's hard to pin down. But it's probably within an hour or so.
Yeah.
But you remember, they're on a battlefield, right? You don't have much time to muck around on the battlefield.
That's right.
Please, all the warriors, please hold back your weapons. I've just got to talk with this person. Give me a chance to talk. Really don't have time.
1 hour, and then Krishna just told that whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he understood what Krishna had to say within an hour. Sometimes it takes us, 5 or 10
More
years.
than lifetime. What are you talking about?
What is Krishna trying to say here?
Yeah, more than lifetime it takes. For
Yeah.
me, at least, more than lifetime.
So we can understand our experience. So we should try to understand Bhagavad Gita in the same way Arjuna did. And his realization was that of Bhagavad Gita is that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and that we are his servant, and that we should do what he says. We should follow his instructions. So we should try to follow in Arjuna's footstep. He is the perfect example of a student, and that ultimately he surrendered to Krishna. I'm prepared to do whatever you say. Have a look at that. 18th chapter, text 72, I think it is. Let's look around there and see if we can find it. 18th chapter, text 2, not 72, 73. Whoever finds that, read the English.
Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, oh infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions.
So if we can come to this point, then we're a perfect student of Bhagavad Gita. Where our Maya is gone, our illusion is gone. What's the illusion that we're under? What does it mean when he says his illusion is gone? So what's the illusion that's gone from Arjuna after hearing?
It's the connection with the enemy that who are they, and they're my brother, sister, cousins, and all that. There was illusion, or
that's part of the illusion that he's thinking that that his main relationship is with his family members. Yeah. He was thinking the main relationship is with family members and they were the most important. Yeah. But what is the most important relationship between us? Us and who? What's the most important relationship?
Us and the God.
With Krishna.
Yeah, between us and God, between us and Krishna. Because that is eternal relationship. We have an eternal relationship with God. That's the reality. The illusion is thinking that our main relationship is with other personalities in this world or with material things like, my house is the most important. My car is the most important. My bank balance is the most important. My job, my cat, my dog, my, partners, my, parents, children, whatever. They are relationships, yeah, but they're temporary ones. They're not the most important one. The most important one is with God. So that's part of what it means there. So that Arjuna was in that illusion that he was focusing on those temporary relationships as most important. But now he's put Krishna in the center. That's what his illusion has gone. Now he realizes my main relationship is with Krishna, and I have to do what he wants. They're saying here, I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. And he's become fixed up in that. That's why he's saying I'm firm. I'm firm now. So he's going to stick to that realization that my main relationship with Krishna, and what is that relationship based on? That he's the master and I'm the servant. It's very important to understand that. And that the relationship is in terms of master and servant. He's the master, he's the boss, he's the chief, and I'm the servant. And so he's giving the instructions and I'm following them. Not the other way around, that I'm the boss, Krishna's my servant, he has to do what I say, and I give the orders. Okay, Krishna, give me more money. Krishna, get me a wife. Krishna, help me to pass my exams. And that's not the relationship that we're the order
That's
supply.
a business transaction.
Yeah. Krishna, give me food. All these things. No, it's not the relationship is not that we're giving the orders and Krishna has to do what we want, but it's the other way around, that we have to do what Krishna wants.
To follow orders.
Like Prabhupada said, the only question I ever ask my guru is, how can I serve you? So that's the relationship. That the guru is our master, Krishna is our master. The guru is a representative of Krishna, so the guru is also our master. Their relationship with Krishna is that Krishna is their master and they're the servant of Krishna. But we become their servant. So in that sense, what's our relationship with Krishna then?
Servant of the servant.
Yeah, we're the servant of the servant. So you can't even really say I'm the servant of Krishna. Technically, what we would say is we're the servant of Krishna. I mean, yes, remotely, we are the servant of Krishna, correct? But if you want to say it in more detail, more correctly, we're not the direct servant of Krishna, are we? Like Arjuna is the direct servant of Krishna. But if we become the servant of Arjuna, or like in this case, the servant of our spiritual master, like that. So, and sometimes it might be even more remote. And then that's even more detailed. That we're the servant of 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 the servant. You get the idea, right? Of Krishna. But the beauty is, the more you become the servant of the servant of the servant and so forth, the more dear you become to Krishna. Don't think that, I have to become a direct servant to Krishna. I don't want any middlemen. We don't want any middlemen. I want to become a direct servant of Krishna. That's going to be the best. I want to become like Radharani. I want to become like Mother Yashoda. I want to become like Arjuna. Actually, that's Mayavad philosophy. That's impersonalism. We want to become one with that particular person. That's also impersonalism. That we take Arjuna's position. We want to take Mother Yashoda's position, Radharani's position. Now, that's actually not...
Radharani is perfect. We're not perfect.
Yeah, we can't take that position. So we don't want to become Radharani or anyone. But we want to become the servant of Radharani. And the more we become the servant of the servant, then Krishna becomes more pleased, more happy to see that we're serving his servants. He becomes very pleased. And if Krishna is more pleased with us, what does that mean in terms of what the experience will be? If you're serving God, you're going to be very happy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because Krishna is pleased that you're serving him. But if you serve his servants, he's going to become more pleased. And then how will that affect your experience in terms of pleasure or happiness?
Increase it.
That will increase it. So you're going to experience even more pleasure in being the servant of the servant of the servant than if you were directly serving him, because he's even more pleased that you're serving his servants. Like a rich man, right? Is it easy to serve a rich man?
No,
Why?
because we are not on their level.
Well, that's there, but they have everything, right?
Yes,
Well,
that's got everything, and what can we give?
You're going to give him $100, or are you going to give him a food or a car or whatever? He's already got all those things and more than that.
More than that, yeah.
You know, so, but if you serve his dog, the rich man has a dog, right? Is it easy or difficult to serve the dog of a rich man?
Easy.
You throw him a bone, right? He's going to be so happy. And how will the rich man be feeling about you if you did that, if you pleased his dog?
Very
So pleased.
He's going to be happy. He's going to be so happy because he loves his dog, and you pleased his dog. So and easy to please the dog, like I said, so easy, and he's going to be so happy. But try to directly please him. That's very difficult because he already has everything. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
That's why I give it a water to every dog. They bring their bhakti tree. That all the customer, if anyone eating outside having a dog, I've got a dog bowl. So first I take the water to them after taking the order, and the face is so smiled and so happy.
Of course, they're going to be so happy. So like that, we follow that same principle and try to become, the more we can become the servant of others, then the more we can become advanced in Krishna consciousness, the more happiness we'll experience. And this is a defect in the realization of the neophyte devotees, even in Krishna consciousness, that we just focus on, okay, we want to serve the deity in the temple, Krishna, we want to serve the guru, the spiritual master, but we don't give a stuff about anybody else. And this is a weakness in their realization, and that's a big stumbling block. You have to respect all the devotees. If you want to progress and get to the higher level of Krishna consciousness, you have to have great respect for other devotees, and you have to serve them. Don't ignore the devotees. Don't ignore the devotees. And definitely don't offend the devotees. Don't offend devotees. This is a big don't. If you want, in the rules of Krishna consciousness, one don't is, a negative rule that you avoid is don't offend devotees. And the positive rule is you should respect the devotees and serve the devotees. And if you follow these rules, do's and don'ts, then you'll advance. If we offend devotees, then we'll fall down from Krishna consciousness. And if you don't please them also, the progress will be very slow. So we want to become the servant of the servant. And for that to work, we have to be very humble. So we have to realize my position, I'm the servant. I'm the servant of the servant 100 times. We're nothing big. We're not a big devotee. As soon as you think you're a big devotee, in Krishna's eyes, what are you?
Nothing.
You're nothing. You're the lowest devotee in Krishna's eyes. If we're king, we're an advanced devotee. I'm a senior devotee. I've been in the movement for 30 years. I'm a senior devotee now.
Even Prabhupada say as well, we call the Prabhupada the pure devotee, but he called himself still, I'm a das, I'm a servant.
Yeah. One time Prabhupada was explaining in Vedic culture, the Varnashram system, there's 4 classes of people. Classes: first class, second class, third class, fourth class. So what is that? What's the first class?
Brahmana.
Brahmana, teacher. Second class?
Vaishya. Oh no, Kshatriya.
Kshatriya, the leader, the warrior, the leader.
Warrior, yeah.
Like that, the politician. The third class.
Third one is merchant.
Yeah, the Vaishya, the merchant.
Yeah.
He's the producer, productive class. So he's
And
growing food, protecting the cows and doing business and things like that. And fourth class, Sudra. And Prabhupada was explaining that and this reporter was hearing. And then the reporter asked him a loaded question. Which class are you in, Swami? And the reporter's obviously thinking, oh, he thinks he's first
Brahmana.
class. He thinks he's first class, right? So that was a loaded question. So meaning the reporter's thinking, oh, this guy thinks he's better than anyone else. He's the first class. And you know what Prabhupada's answer was?
I'm Shudra.
He said, no. He said, I am fifth class. I'm a servant of all classes.
Is there any fifth?
Yeah, is a servant of everyone. Servant of everyone. So we always have to remember that. We're just a tiny, insignificant, minute servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. Never think you're anything great, big, mighty, anything. Never abuse anyone. Never exploit anyone, abuse anyone. Don't, become puffed up and just think because, you've been in the movement for so long, or you're very pure, you don't eat meat anymore, you don't take intoxication anymore, that you're great and wonderful and everything. We should always feel very lowly and very meek and humble. And Krishna will be very pleased. And that will make the experience of Krishna consciousness very wonderful. Krishna is very great. So the smaller you feel, you can relish that relationship with Krishna more. Have you heard the saying, opposites attract?
Yeah.
Yeah. The more that feeling of opposite is there, the more wonderful the experience will be. Because see, when you feel very helpless, very insignificant, very tiny, what will be the feeling you have for Krishna? What kind of just put yourself in that mode for a minute. That I'm very tiny, I'm very helpless, I'm very insignificant. Then in that
strong feeling.
Very strong. What kind of feelings will be there?
Being humble.
Yeah, that is what it means to be humble. But in that humility, what will be the kind of connection you'll be desiring? What will you be wanting? What will the relationship be? Won't you be calling out to Krishna, please help me, please save me, I can't do anything, I'm helpless, I'm so small, please protect me, please look after me, help me, please guide me, please give me strength.
It's only happened that when you're really, really sick.
Yeah.
I was one stage in John Hunter Hospital. I was calling, please, please.
Yeah, so that's a feeling of dependency. It makes us feel dependent, that we're not great, we need help. So that makes a feeling of dependency, and that's very wonderful. Always feeling dependent on Krishna and always feeling helpless and needing his mercy. Krishna, please be merciful to me, otherwise I can't get anywhere. But on the other hand, if we feel we're very big, then what will happen?
No chance.
Will you be feeling dependent on Krishna? I have lots of money, I have powerful friends, I am very strong, I am very intelligent, I am very big. Then what? Then what will that do to your feelings towards Krishna?
Very low.
It's going to be very low. There's not going to be much there, right?
It's almost, yeah. It's almost like, I think there's a risk of assuming that you're almost on the same level then, if you go that high.
Yeah, you're like in control.
And that's the reason we've fallen in the first place.
We don't really need Krishna now. I've got everything under control.
Yeah.
Of course, until you lose all your wealth and you lose your health and your family members die and everything falls apart, and then you may realize. But we should realize that now. Mm-hmm. Do we want Krishna to have to pull the rug out from underneath our feet, to realize how helpless we are?
No.
Not again.
Do we need more coronaviruses and so forth to realize that we're completely, whatever, civilized we are and highly advanced we are and technologically advanced we are, that we're still completely helpless? One tiny bug virus, you can't even see it, and has stuffed up the whole world. Everyone's stuffed up from something that Krishna has arranged that you can't even see it, and it's just destroyed. You know, all the advanced civilizations on the planet. You know, all the plane companies, all the governments, everyone has so much debt now, and the governments. I heard now the New Zealand government, every in 1 minute that passes, it's like, you know, it's like millions of dollars of debt is increasing every minute that passes in the day. It was completely buggered us up. You know, some tiny thing designed by Krishna, you can't even see it.
Invisible enemy.
Yeah, so I mean, and hopefully we're becoming more humble out of it and realizing how helpless and how much we're depending on him. As soon as we think we're independent, that we don't need God, you're number one idiot, you know, and sometimes we need a bit of a slap, you know, to realize, you know, put us back in our place like that. So now Arjuna, you know, he's got free from all this illusion and realizing that he should just try to please Krishna. He's the supreme controller, and we just want to get his mercy to help us and follow him. So you got the basic idea, right?
Yep.
So fundamental. That's the meaning of Krishna consciousness. That Krishna is our supreme Lord and Master and controller, and we're his tiny, helpless, insignificant servant. And that's the correct position, and that's our normal life, our real life, and that's happy life. There's nothing wrong with being a servant of Krishna. We have this idea that we have to become the boss, otherwise it's our life is spoiled if we don't become the CEO or the leader or the richest person or the greatest person or whatever. But that's Maya, that's illusion. That's not going to make us really happy to become the boss and the best person or whatever. That what's really going to make us happy is service to Krishna. That's our real happiness. And the more we become the servant of the servant, the more happy we're going to become. And we experience that. I mean, you all can verify that, right? When you do service to Krishna or Krishna's devotees, how do you feel? Do you feel terrible when you're acting as a servant?
No.
Feel great.
Feel great.
Contented.
Yeah. So this is our normal position. So we have to get it out of our head, this conditioning that being a servant is a bad thing and being the master is a good thing. I agree. Materially, to serve a materialistic master, that is bad. So we agree with that. But to serve the real master, Krishna, he's never going to abuse us and exploit us. If you serve a materialistic master, that is bad because they may exploit you and abuse like that, like the modern governments, that we're under them and they exploit us and cheat us and so forth, or some mundane boss or whatever like that may exploit us and everything. So we agree that, you know, material service is not a very good position to be in, to be the servant of a materialistic master. But you cannot compare this. We're talking about pure service, the pure servant and the pure master. You understand the difference? You have the pure master, he's God. And he's our real friend. He loves us. He's never going to exploit us, abuse us. He's completely perfect. He knows everything. He's always going to do the best for us. And to be a pure servant, you're acting as a soul. And you know that you understand that God is my real friend and he's maintaining me. He's protecting me and everything. You know, he's done everything for me. He's giving me food, water, air, everything. I should do some service for him, isn't it? It's that's normal, isn't it? I mean, what do you think, Bob? If someone is feeding you and clothing you and giving you a roof over your head and a healthy body and everything like that, then what would you feel like doing?
Or as much as possible to return I don't want to call it a favour, but
Respect.
turn the gratitude.
That's true. Return the favor. It is a favor, or we say actually a debt. It's actually a debt. When you take service from someone, you actually have a debt. So yeah, they've given you a favor. You have to return the favor or repay the debt. We say that too. Repay the debt, or as soon as you accept service from someone, actually you become indebted. So how indebted we should all feel towards God. He's doing so much for me. He's giving me the air that I breathe, the water that I drink, the food that I eat. He's giving me this body. He's giving me this house. He's giving me a job. He's giving me money. He's the controller of everything. So he's making all these wonderful arrangements for us in the material world. You know, day and night is doing so much. We can't do anything. We can't even scratch our nose without or walk one step without his mercy, without his help. So how much indebted we should feel that, well, I want to do some service for him. He's done so much for me. So bhakti is very natural. It's very natural that everyone should feel that I should do some service for God. To not care about serving God, that's Maya. It means completely the person's they don't have any understanding. You know? I mean, just like that with a parent and the child, right? If the parent is serving the child, you know, the cleans up his room, cooks for him, washes his clothes, everything. If that kid is never thinking, oh, can I do something for you, Mum? If the kid never thinks that, then what do we call that kind of kid?
Useless.
Rascal.
Useless.
Lazy. We say they're lazy or
Selfish.
In English, we call that a spoiled brat.
yeah.
Oh, bread is not spoiled.
Not brat.
Oh, okay.
Spoiled brat.
Maybe he's spoiled. I don't know.
Just completely useless rascal. Just ungrateful. We call that ungrateful.
Yeah.
That's just nonsense. So we have to get out of that and realize we're all so indebted. The Lord is so loving and kind unconditionally to us. Even if we're a complete nonsense, right? God still gives us everything we need. If we're an atheist and we think He loves us unconditionally, so we should have some feelings towards Him. You are just so wonderful, my Lord. I just want to serve you. So this is the feeling of bhakti that should arise in us. But we need some knowledge. See, from this knowledge, like we're talking now, from this knowledge, then these feelings of love or devotion towards the Lord arise. So that's very natural. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But bhakti is very natural. Just like one time, Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, like Arjuna and his brothers, together they're called the Pandavas. So the mother of the 5 brothers, including Arjuna's name is Kunti Devi. So one time she prayed to Krishna, may my love for you flow just like the river flows to the ocean, to the sea. You know, the river going down to the ocean, that's very natural, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the river flowed away from the ocean, does that make sense? Is that normal?
Not normal.
Does it flow in the opposite direction, away from the ocean? No, it flows towards the ocean. You know, from the highest point, right, down to the lowest point, which is the ocean, right? That's normal. So in the same way, may our love towards God flow just like the river to the sea. That's so natural. Bhakti is such a natural process. If we don't love God, that's unnatural. That's not normal. It's like the river flowing upwards instead of downwards. Does that make sense? So let's go back to our verse today then. 6th chapter.
So 97% people in the world, they're the river flowing upwards.
Yeah, the river's flowing upwards. And that's why, and then you analyze, are they happy?
That's right.
Find one of them that doesn't care for God. You studied their life.
Oh, they died with really bad condition, like with the overdose, drugs and things. When they got money, it's a movie star with the Hollywood stuff like that. They're just terrible.
Always anxiety, so much stress, so much fear of death ultimately. So much fear, so much anxiety, so much stress.
You got a fear of losing money, the money which is will not belongs to them even. This fear of losing them. It's all Krishna's but
The fame.
vision.
No one's satisfied. They all want more. As soon as you're not satisfied, that means immediately there's no peace. And
You are in illusion.
And that's in the second chapter, text 66. It explains that. That second, if you want to have a look at that, it's a good one to look at.
Well,
what is it? 1066. 266.
Because we all want to be happy, right? I mean, no one's going to put in that they don't wants to be happy, but we have to realize what's the process of becoming happy. So what does it say? Bhakti Mala, you want to read this one? Have you got the page?
Chapter 2,
66.
One who is not in transcendental consciousness can have neither a controlled mind or steady intelligence, without which there is no possibility of peace. Any happiness without peace.
Mm.
You get it? We all want happiness, right? But you can't have happiness without peace. And you can't have peace without what?
Devotion.
simple as, if you need the electricity, you need a connection. You can't get it without connection.
Yeah. Without to get happiness, peace first. Peaceful. If you're not peaceful, you're not going to be happy. And you can't be peaceful unless your mind's steady. And you can't be steady, your mind is not going to be steady unless you're connected with the Supreme, unless you're Krishna conscious. So we know for a fact, if someone doesn't love God, if they're not Krishna conscious, they're not going to have a steady mind. And if their mind is not steady, it's all disturbed, there's going to be no peace. And without peace, there's no happiness. So we know for a fact that loving God is the way to be happy. And that without loving God, we cannot be happy. Does that make sense?
Steady mind is very difficult. We just can't steady. I'll be honest, man. It's just a steady mind. Oh, my mind is just going 20 direction all the time.
The neophyte stage, so we're still working on it. But at least we know now what the process is to become happy, that we have to get the mind steady. And that's one of the things that this chanting process is helping us to do, to steady the mind. And it said when you're chanting, if the mind goes off, then you've got to bring it back. And then again, you'll be chanting, and again, it'll go off thinking about something. You can bring it back. So that's your practice. That's your practice to steady the mind, to fix the mind on one point. So what are we fixing the mind on this Krishna conscious process?
Chanting.
My God.
Yeah, on the name, on the sound. We're fixing our mind. You want to steady the mind by fixing the mind on the sound vibration of Krishna's names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama, Rama. You're concentrating on that sound. That's all you're trying to do. You just fix the mind on that sound. If you want, additionally, if you find it helpful to fix the mind, you can be looking at a picture of Krishna or a deity of Krishna while you're chanting, if that helps you, or you can close your eyes if that helps you, whatever, so you don't get distracted, whatever works. But of course, if you close your eyes, you may fall asleep, so be careful about that.
Half close.
But that's the half closed you can. So we just read that not long ago about half closed eyes. The yogi does. So whatever works, but that's the purpose. Whether you're doing this jnana yoga or bhakti yoga, you have to make the mind steady. And then from there we'll get peace, from there we'll get happiness. So but God consciousness is the manifestation of that. Without that, there's no, forget about it. No happiness for you, mate. You don't want to.
That paper where the emotion comes into where the Bhagavad Gita says emotion, is the emotion affect the mind, or is the mind affect emotion?
Well, that's where the emotions are on the mental platform, where all the emotions are, and the platform. So the emotions will become more purified. See, you're never going to get rid of emotions. Emotions are part of, even the pure soul, right, has a mind. Don't think that you only have a mind in the material world, and when you go back to Godhead, the spiritual world, there's not going to be anymore. So you still have a mind. It's a spiritual mind. So what will the mind be doing in the spiritual world? It'll only be thinking about Krishna. Always be thinking about Krishna. And it'll be lots of emotions there. There'll be love, because love is an emotion, right? That's the greatest emotion. It'll be overflowing with love for Krishna in your mind. Will be overflowing with Krishna. And you'll be greedy for Krishna, getting more service for Krishna. That's also emotion, right? You'll be greedy to serve Krishna. How can I serve Krishna more now? So there'll be greed there. If something is disturbing Krishna's pleasure, you're going to get angry. Who is this, or what is this that's disturbing Krishna's enjoyment? What a rascal. You'll be angry there, but it's all connected with Krishna. So all those emotions are there. So that's all we're trying to do, is we're not trying to get rid of emotions, but we're trying to connect them with Krishna. We're trying to dovetail them in Krishna's service, and those are real emotions. But then we have impure emotions where we don't have love for Krishna. We have lust. Oh, I want to enjoy my senses with this money. I want to enjoy the senses with this woman, this man, like that. We want to enjoy our own senses. So that's lust. So that's impure. Or we're greedy for material things. I want more wealth, more wealth, more wealth. So that's material emotions. Or angry. You're disturbing my enjoyment, you rascal. I'm going to punish you. So that's material anger. So this is what causes our mind to become agitated and disturbed with all these kind of things. But all we're trying to do is change from these perverted emotions to the real emotions. These are our original emotions, and we come from that. Remember, we all come from the spiritual world. We had been through it. Now we're see that's what stuff is up. So we just have to reverse that. Now we're gone away from Krishna. Now we have to round back towards Krishna. Then everything will be all right. So don't worry, like women are very emotional, but that's not a stumbling block on spiritual life. But you just have to return emotions towards Krishna. And that's perfect. That can actually be an advantage for women. Men tend to be not so emotional and controlling those things. So that can make it more difficult sometimes for men to really bring out the heart, to really have a real heartfelt relationship with Krishna. For a woman, it can be easy once they do become attracted to Krishna. Oh, Krishna is so beautiful. He's so handsome, so attractive. And the woman can just give her heart to Krishna. I know one lady here in Auckland, she's so attracted and addicted to the deity here, Radha Giridhari, and her husband actually wants to come and live near to where I'm living in a farming environment, wants to live on a more farming environment. But his wife is just so attached to the deities here in Auckland, Radha Giridhari. She's just like padlocked to them. She's so tightly wonderful. It's amazing. She's so attached to Krishna. She's so attracted to serving Krishna. And so that's wonderful. That's wonderful. She has so much emotion like that for Krishna.
So when we caught up in anger and things like that, then we've got to really just be aware of it and bring it back to we're not thinking about Krishna, we're thinking about ourselves.
Yeah. Just direct those emotions towards Krishna more and more. And then the materialistic emotions, of course, in the beginning are still going to be there. And tolerate it when the mind comes up with crazy things, like, becomes attracted to enjoying some object, so that lust is there or whatever. But you have to see that, okay, this emotion is not very healthy. So I have to try to regulate that. I have to try to control that one and direct it more towards Krishna. So at that time, you might want to just, when the mind goes off into some lusty thought or greedy thought, angry thought, just try to bring it back. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Or just go to the temple and look at the deities and bow down to them and pray to them. Please save me, Krishna, from this lust. Let me be attracted to you, like that. So try to bring the mind back to that pure emotion connected with Krishna. Anyone want to say anything else about that? That's a very good point.
This is Sarabhi.
Jai, Sarabhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Have an exalted Vaishnavi with us. So nice. How are you, Mataji?
Yes.
Okay, so let's continue the purport then. We've only got minutes left. Whoever's ready can start reading. Turning. We're back to 6th chapter, text 3.
Concerning the eightfold yoga system attempts in the beginning to enter into the meditation through the principle of the life and the practice of different sitting posture, which are more or less bodily exercise, or considered fruitive material activities. All such activities leads to achieving perfect mental equilibrium to control the senses. When one is accomplished in the practice of meditation, he sees all the disturbing mental activities. A Krishna conscious person, however, is situated from the beginning on the platform of a meditation because he is always thinking of Krishna, and being constantly engaged in the service of Krishna, he is considered to have ceased all material activities.
Okay, I just had a message on my phone saying the mobile data limit is reached, so I might get cut off any second. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
I might
wait. I'll call Jacinda Arden. Hold on, I'll call the other line to Jacinda Arden. Listen, you may be not listening. This is a very important class going on. She didn't know that.
Okay, so I'll just quickly try to say something. If I get cut off, you can finish up. But yeah, so the yoga exercises in themselves, I mean, like Prabhupada's mentioning, it's a fruit. It looks like a fruitive activity, just working with your body only. But the purpose of it, you've got to understand the purpose of it. Originally, the purpose of it is to help you control the mind. So how is doing exercises connected with helping to control your mind? How it works is that by doing the exercises, you can come to the point when you can sit in one place for a long time. So then the next step is, okay, why would you want to sit in one place for a long time? The purpose is that then you can withdraw from the external world and control your mind and look within yourself and try to connect there with the super soul. But the first step is to come to the point where your body doesn't move around, because we're moving around all the time and we're always distracted by different things. So we have to come out of that, being so distracted and so absorbed in all the external things. So the idea is sit in one place, and that place where you would be sitting is in a very solitary place, like they would sit in a forest. So less distractions, sit in one place. And then when you're perfected sitting in one place for a long time, Then they move to the next step, which is from asana to pranayama. So then they work on the breathing. First of all, you work on the exercises, sit in one place, then work on your breathing. Why do you want to work on your breathing? Because the mind is controlled by the air movements. So if you can control the air, the movement of air in the body through the breathing, the pranayama, then the mind can become more steady. So that's how they are steadying the mind in that system. They're getting a steady mind through controlling the breathing. Then when the mind is steady, then they go to the next stages, the meditation, the dhyana on the super soul. So we're doing the same thing, steadying the mind, but in a different process, which is through chanting. So we're steadying the mind through chanting. They are steadying the mind through breathing. But you see, the principle is the same. Steady the mind. When the mind is steady, then you focus it on God. So it's exactly the same purpose. But how they're achieving that purpose, externally it's a little bit different. We're doing it through chanting, they're doing it through the exercises and then the breathing and like that. But if in the modern yoga societies, they only do the exercises and breathing and they stop there and they don't go from there for any further to meditation on God, then it's a waste of time. It's completely waste of time. Sure, they might have good health, but they're not going to achieve the real purpose, which is peace, happiness, once we're focused on God. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So in the beginning, they're doing some activities, which is the exercises, but in the end of the process, they're giving up the activities, because that's what it's saying in the verse, right? In the beginning, work is said to be the means, and for one who is elevated, cessation of all activities is said to be the means. So in the beginning, they're doing some activities, which are the exercises. They progress more. They don't do any activities. They're just, all they're doing, their body is completely shut down in the ultimate stage of this yoga. Their body's completely shut down, active anymore, and they're just meditating on the super soul 24/7. That's at the ultimate point, and that's called samadhi. That's a trance-like state. Even some of our great devotees in our line, called the Six Goswamis, the followers of Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago, they would go into these states where their body would just be sitting somewhere, but they were just so absorbed in meditation on Krishna and the Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan and the spiritual world that their body would just be sitting there for like 2 or 3 days. Nothing would be happening externally. Their body is there, but the soul is gone. They've left their body. Their soul is gone. And they will maybe come back 2 or 3 days later and the body would get up and start moving again. But they'd like shut it down. Does that make sense? I mean, it won't make sense because we've seen that before. But it is possible to achieve that stage where the activities in the advanced stages, the activities, they stop. And you're just absorbed in your spiritual life. The soul.
But then when they do they breathe on that time or not even breathe?
No, breathing is going on.
Breathing is going on. Okay.
And how's that happening if the soul is left? Because the super soul is there. The super soul is maintaining the body while the soul is gone. The super soul is maintaining the body. And the devotee, the soul of the devotee is entered into the Krishna's Leela. So that kind of result is possible in this process now. I mean, it seems very far away from us in the neophyte stage, but this is just the beginning. But it's amazing, this process, where it can bring us to that stage. And everyone can come to that stage. Oh, just the Six Goswamis do like that. We're never going to be able to do like that. No, we don't want to become like Christians, that, oh, Jesus, he's like God and no one else, everyone else is going to be sinful forever. We're all sinners and like that. Don't think like that. No, the stages they could achieve, we also can achieve.
We can elevate their position.
We have to follow the process. That's the main point. If you follow the process, you'll get the same result. It's not like if you follow the same process, you're going to get a different result. No, that's not science. This is why it's a science. You follow the same process and you're going to get the same result. Isn't it? That's what science, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you mix two different chemicals together and you get an explosion, you're gonna get that result every time, isn't it? Not
Yeah.
that one time you get an explosion, another time nothing happens. It's not going to be like that. But the main point is you have to follow the process. Does that make sense? You have to focus the mind on Krishna, and you have to steady the mind like that, and you have to follow the rules and regulations, avoid, bad karma, sinful activities. You serve the devotees. There's so many guidelines, so you have to follow all of them. You have to follow all of these guidelines, and then you'll achieve the same result that they achieved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that should be exciting, that because they were so blissful. So they were said anandam bodhivardhanam pradipadam purnamritasvadanam. They were swimming in an ocean of nectar, in an ocean of bliss. So put up your hand. Who wants to swim in an ocean of bliss?
Both hands, not one, both hands.
Yeah, all our fingers. So this is what's possible, but we got to follow the process. You can't take any shortcuts. Oh, I don't like that part of the process where it says chanting 16 rounds. I don't like it where it says no meat eating, no intoxication. If you take out bits of the process, you'll achieve a different result for sure. You'll keep your crazy mind, always beating you up all the time. So we have to strictly follow the process. So that
One of my customer was asking that, the gambling is he come and eat in Bhakti Tree. He said buying a share is a gambling. I said, I don't know. I'll ask Abhay Prabhu.
What's that? Buying shares?
Shares of the company. Is that the gambling considered as classified or not?
Well, also within gambling is mental speculation. So any activities which involve speculation is regarded as gambling. So you can figure it out from there. If you have to, you're speculating, is this company going to do really good, or maybe it will go bung? So you don't really know, isn't it? You have to speculate. That it's going to go, the shares are going to go up and you're going to make profit. But maybe you're wrong. Maybe the shares might go down in value and you're going to lose. Like I heard, right, there's this, do you all know what is the, what do they call it? Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, yes.
Right, so Bitcoin, it was going up and up and up and up so much, and suddenly it's dropped down to like, I think a half of what it was, or 3/4 or whatever. So we invest in Bitcoin, but then it's lost, and you become, so when it goes up, what's going to happen? You're going to get excited, isn't it? And when it goes down, you're going to become depressed. So do you think is that good for your spiritual life?
No.
Oh. So, there's so much speculation is involved there. And you're thinking, when am I going to put the money in? When am I going to take it out? I have to take it out at that time, before the stock market crashes and everything like that. Do you know what happens after a stock market crash?
Many people committed suicide.
Yeah, like jumping skyscrapers.
Depression, yeah.
Yeah, put up your hands. Do you want to jump off a skyscraper?
No, I don't even go in there.
Okay, so maybe just stick to, just your steady job, which is not involving all these things. So, like that, you have to be careful. I mean, of course, if you're a very advanced devotee and your mind is beyond getting agitated by, your money going up and down, then maybe it's like,
Chances are pretty slim. Advanced devotee, he'll fall down too if he gets into that line.
If you don't care that you don't lose half your money, then sure, don't worry about it. Your mind is fixed on Krishna, whatever happens. Or if you double your money, you're not going to forget Krishna because you're so excited. Oh, I just doubled my income. I'm going to go out and, and sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
It's a wonderful example. That one day, I think you were there when Kalya Prabhu and Chit Rupa was coming. The car is being crashed, and they're walking to Bhakti Tree. I went there to pick it up, and you were in the soul searching class, and they're walking. I said, Prabhuji, your car crash. He said, yeah, insurance will take care. And they're just walking nicely. I said, get in my car. And I bring it to Bhakti Tree. It's like nothing happens. Like average person was thinking, oh, how much is going to cost the insurance and things like this. He said, okay, whatever the insurance company thinks.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Excuse me, everyone. Excuse me, I have to go.
Okay,
Hare
Haribol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bob.
Thank you, Abhay.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure, Bob. Take care.
Thank you.
We have to be very careful not to do involved in any activities that might disturb our mind. It's a very delicate balance we have in the material world.
Yeah.
You have to do that. Don't do anything that's going to agitate your mind, disturb your mind. And that's why we have these regulated principles like no gambling, intoxication, so forth, because it disturbs our mental equilibrium. And then we're in chaos, and back to Maya again and everything. So just be very careful. I mean, sure, maybe if you did the gambling, you might become a millionaire. Yeah, okay. And, if you don't gamble.
But the thing is, if you become a millionaire, those millions you have to spend on the Krishna service.
Yeah, and that's probably unlikely. And we see that they've also researched what happens to people after they win lotto.
Oh, they're back to the square one within 2 years.
In the time, they're worse off afterwards. Their whole life is in chaos. So it's better not to interact with the material world as much as possible. Reduce it.
Anyway.
Because it's like the fly. As soon as you put your one foot on the spider web, then immediately you try to get out of it, right, by putting another foot. But then the second foot is caught. You had one foot caught, then you touched another place, your second foot, then you put another foot down and another foot. So
did you ever been to the swamp and you getting the very hard to get it out of the swamp. You just try to get another foot out, you put more in. Another foot out, more in.
Yeah. So the more you deal with the material world, the more entangled you become. So what's the philosophy of Krishna consciousness? Simple living, high
thinking. Yeah.
We follow the KISS formula. Do you all know the KISS formula?
Keep it simple, stupid. Yes.
Simple, stupid. Yeah. So we don't want to be more stupid and make life very complicated, and then we get entangled more. So yeah. Anyway, if Krishna wants us to have $1 million, he'll arrange it, but we don't want to make an endeavor for it. If Krishna arranges that we become a millionaire or whatever, that if he realizes that's good for us and that we can use that money properly, he'll arrange it. We don't have to speculate about how we're going to become a millionaire. Yeah. We should be just thinking about how I can become more Krishna conscious, how I can spend more time chanting and reading about Krishna, serving the devotees and doing service like that. Okay.
Yes, wonderful. Bye, Prabhu.